Good morning, afternoon, evening when you listen to it, legends. Thank you very much for jumping on another episode with me. This one is with Josh TimebombTonna, as far as he's known. He's a professional kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter, so he'd definitely kick my ass. Before we just jump straight into that, a quick word from our sponsor, Second Rodeo, which we'll play after this. But if you want to support this podcast directly, there's a link in the bio of the podcast, but also teespring.com/stores/Willy-merch. That is how to support this podcast in continuing going for free and hopefully delivering better quality content all the time. So the podcast will play now after this ad. Thank you very much, and I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Thanks, legends.
Second Rodeo Clothing. We ain't your average country brand. We're living life like a country song because country music's in our blood and our wardrobe. Shop online at secondrodeoclothing.com and follow Second Rodeo Clothing on Facebook and Instagram for the latest look.
It's the Willy Show.
Oh, you're right, man. Jesus. This is like the most casual fucking casual podcast that exists, I think. Like, half the time.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Oh, good shit, man. How's your day been? Been busy?
Yeah, it's been good, man. With the whole Corona COVID thing, the gym's been shut down. So I haven't been able to teach. That's mainly where I get my sort of income from. And I supplement it, obviously, with the fights.
Yeah, shit.
But yeah, since it's happened, all the classes have been cancelled. So just been at home looking after the kids.
Yeah.
I got two kids. I got son who's 7 and daughter who's 2.
Fuck. Keeping you fucking playing easy.
Three.
3, yeah. Oh, Jesus, man. I couldn't even imagine, especially with all this isolation stuff and you guys being home the whole time.
Yeah.
Massive pain.
What about yourself, man?
Sorry.
What about yourself? What did you get up to?
Man, very little. I ran today, which I'm running every day now because I'm signed up to that, what's it called? Run for Blues bloody thing with the, for the police who died in Melbourne.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like all their badge numbers combined in kilometres for the month.
Fair.
Which it's not that many Ks, but we've come in a little bit late onto the scene, so I'm a fucking shitload of Ks behind. Like
all right.
Average like 6 Ks a day, you're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Today, whatever the fucking date is, so I'm like, I miss a couple of days, it really compiles. Like you miss 2 days, it's only 12, but then if you miss 3 or 4, you're like, shit, I have to do like a 40K run here somewhere to counteract.
That hurts, man. That hurts.
Might end up with a big run at the end of my month, but we'll see.
Okay.
Might take a day off and just fucking walk all day.
Yeah, nice.
That's how that should happen. And there's no fighting going on anywhere in Australia, is there?
No, man. It's shut down all over the world. The last one I think they did was, like probably February, March. I'm not sure. My last fight was in February, like sort of middle to late February. And then one did another one in March.
Yeah.
And that's been it. And that was a closed event as well. So it was in Singapore, and I think that stadium usually, it's like 18, 20,000 people sort of arena, and it was no one.
Oh, shit. And what the you might be more over it than me, but what's the dodgy shit that the UFC's doing? Because they're still running.
They got one this weekend coming. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing it, man, because the US is obviously worse than here.
Yeah.
Maybe some states aren't as bad. And I saw one thing they're calling it Fight Island or something. So I'm not really sure, man.
Jesus,
you must be paying a lot of money or something.
Oh, mate.
Because I don't understand how they can have international flights and everything, unless they're just all like US citizens fighting there.
Fuck, I don't know. I heard rumors that like they had an island, and then I heard like they're going to rent like a big fucking boat and sail out international waters and shit. And I'm like, fuck, like, it's really worth it.
Imagine that, eh?
Oh, to be
yeah.
Shit. Like,
yeah. Well, because they probably have to, like, if they were flying interstate or like definitely international, they'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks before, and then when they come home, it's like another 2 weeks. Or it's a lot of time, you know. Oh, yeah, man. Is it really worth it?
Yeah, well, imagine if you do that. Imagine if you're in quarantine for weeks and then all the restrictions open up before that, but you're still in quarantine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, massively. Shit. So, look, we'll go over sort of your history and getting into fighting and sort of family life and sort of into training as well. And sort of a lot of my podcasting stuff is more aimed at, I guess, mental health and resilience as well.
Sure.
And I sort of think that I have sort of an opinion that resilience isn't like taught as much as sort of earned. Like you can, you know, give someone the tools, but they still need to get out into the gym or go for a run or something to actually sort of earn that resilience.
Exactly. 100%, man.
Yeah. So how did you end up?
Yeah, I couldn't agree.
Getting into all of this.
When I was 17, I was never into fighting, and I played like soccer when I was younger, but sort of like 13, 14, I just sort of fell out of it and sort of not really into sport at all. And it was one night at a party, and there was lots of fights, lots of sort of street fights happening, and I got picked by one of these guys, and I was that petrified because I'd never been in a fight ever in my life. I was quite shy and sort of very like kept to myself, and yeah, I got picked on by this guy, and I was that scared that I hid behind this girl that I knew at the party as well. I told her to try and sort it out, stop it. And I thought after that I better sort of try and learn to look after myself. And it was like within that week, my dad introduced me to his mate, who was sort of my first trainer. That's how it started, man. And then I sort of fell in love with the sport instantly, learning to punch and hit the pads. And then it was only maybe a month. I'd never been to a fight show. I went to watch one of my mates fight, and he ended up fighting Hopewadi in a boxing fight, and he knocked him out. And man, I knew I had to do something like that. I really want to experience it myself. So I had my first fight after 6 months of training, which is pretty quick, but I pestered my trainer. I knew I really wanted to just experience it. And from then, yeah, just caught the bug and just wanted to fight as much as I could.
So what discipline was that when you first got into it?
It was kickboxing. Like, Muay Thai and kickboxing are quite similar, but at the same time they're very different. It's like rugby league and rugby union.
Yeah.
So it was a Muay Thai gym, but first couple fights were just kickboxing. So kickboxing is you hit with your hands and legs, and then Muay Thai you can clinch and you can knee and elbow, and then some things score higher in Muay Thai as opposed to kickboxing. Whereas kickboxing, everything sort of scored equally, and they score it in volume. So one clean kick in Muay Thai is much better than a flurry of punching and finishing with a leg kick.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. I guess you almost have to be like a little bit tactical about it as well, as far as it's not just go in fucking all guns blazing. Because like that, I guess it's than some other disciplines out there might have a bit more sort of finesse in it.
Yeah. Muay Thai is, quite skillful. It looks like it doesn't have like the sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, the beautiful sort of footwork that boxing does. But man, it's quite a technical sport, like with the kicks and sort of using them in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That story about getting fucking picked on at a party and then becoming a fighter after that. That's like a bit of a movie, bro.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the guys have the sort of same start of their career, or like getting into that martial art. They've been picked on or they've been bullied, and they just want to try and sort of fix that, like they don't want to feel that those nerves again, which is funny. Like I hate the nerves, but it's all part of the game. It's just learning to overcome them,
Yeah, and do you think, like, of course, there's a physical growth in it, but more of almost like a mental growth for especially young lads getting into some sort of fighting. That it's almost a mental game of, it's almost a pathway to building that resilience and confidence in yourself.
Man, Muay Thai and other combat sports and like fighting is the whole sport is mental. It's about sort of overcoming your own fears and anxiety. And yeah, if you're nervous about being picked on, you should definitely start a combat sport. But usually, like when you fight, it's about sort of just overcoming your own fears. Yeah, it's I'd say it's like 90% or 95% mental.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you see that with a lot of shit, man. Like people getting into even like fitness and whatever can be really to overcome something. It's not like it's for yourself in the end, but at the start, there's that sort of tipping point of why you've then done it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'd say with me joining the Defence Force, like, I grew more mentally from it than anything, grabbing, just sort of grabbing hold of that confidence and shit you have of like, yeah, well, you have that sort of a stature. You're actually like, fuck, I hate to say it, but you're more of like a man, like, especially for young lads, sort of taking hold and controlling that aggression. Because all of it is, I guess, built from being able to use that aggression, but within boundaries. I'm not sure if you listen to, you may, do you know who Jordan Peterson is, the psychologist?
I've listened to him a little bit on the Joe Rogan podcast, like here and there, and few little video clips on it.
Yeah, because he always talks about the most important thing, especially like young men, is like learning to control aggression within parameters. And he's like a fan of sort of your combat sport stuff, because he's like, well, you can do whatever you want, but as far as it's within these parameters, and it's a strict set of you can't do this and you can't do this. And then there's these unwritten rules you learn too. And he actually talks about that wrestling with, like say for young boys, wrestling with your father as a really young kid is so important, because you learn what you do and what you don't do and what's fair and not fair. And that aggression and sort of savagery is so important in a guy's life. And we're told it's toxic masculinity, which is bullshit. But the whole thing is to be able to put that within a parameter and control it. And I think the main thing of if people are getting their kids into the army or like a combat sport, so was that being able to learn and control aggression is fucking important, because it's all in guys. Yeah,
man, if you like let go against someone who's skilled, you'll get found out quite easily.
Yeah.
And that's what happens sort of at the start. Like you're really tough, or you've done a few lessons, and then you go against someone who's a bit more experienced. They humble you, man.
Yeah.
It is quite a humbling and growth-filled type sport.
Fucking oath, I can't remember. He did a couple of UFC fights. He's from Melbourne. Fuck, what's his lad's name? It's like Josh or something. Shit, I'll remember it over the length of this at some point. He was friends with some of my mates who are vets from Skilled Athlete. Wait, it's going to piss me off if I don't know it.
Is he still in the UFC?
No, he's actually got out to join the fucking. Jake Matthews.
Yeah, I was going to say. I said Jake. Yeah, I thought he recently had a fight.
He may have, but I know he's. I
thought he recently had a fight.
I'm not sure.
He signed up to the army.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, yes, but I could be wrong.
I swear he fought when they went to Auckland. I'm pretty sure he had a fight in Auckland when there was a few different Aussies fighting on there. It was like sort of Australia and New Zealand versus everyone else.
Yeah.
The Anzacs.
Yeah, the Anzacs. Yeah, I ended up at his gym in Melbourne about fucking 12 months ago now, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And like he's a super fit guy, but he's not, overwhelmingly big. And he's like, just as hard as you want, and I'll just go with you. And I'm like, well, fuck, like, I know you're going to kick my ass anyway. It was like, I've done a bit of BJJ in the army, like all we have sort of a different defense system, I guess, because all of ours is built around, we have a lot of tools on us. So we're never clean skin, like never just in shorts and a t-shirt. We've always got
sure.
But it's sort of, I think it's built on BJJ structure. And I'm like, I'll give this a go. I'm 90 kilos and I'm fairly strong. And I got fucking pummeled, man. And I was fucked within about
man.
And then I fought his little brother who was like 14 and he fucked me up as well.
Man, someone who's got skills, like it's hard to compete with them. And I'm sure if it was the other way around, like with shooting or the way you guys do jiu-jitsu, it would be the other way around, I saw this, it was like this old UFC clip. It was like a few heavyweight UFC fighters went to fight Navy SEALs or Marines or something, and they all got smoked. They all got smoked. And these like guys are, UFC fighters, and it just doesn't compare,
Yeah,
it's just what and.
Yeah, well, I guess a lot of the stuff in defence, and this, like it or not, this way it is it's not like I was saying about, with all your martial arts stuff, you've got parameters set, and a lot of those are so the other person will get beaten but not injured or really hurt.
Sure.
Where a lot of the army-related or military, I should say, stuff is if I'm in a hand-to-hand fight, if I'm ever in a hand-to-hand fight, my primary weapons failed, my secondary weapons failed, and it's life or death. Like there's no fight in uniform that's you don't want to be in a fight. So our whole thing is built, and the last like 5 years that I've been, or the last 5 years they've been working on this, is like, well, even if your weapon, goes down and it's not fire, whatever, you still have a fucking, maybe 20-inch bit of steel in your hand that weighs 5 kilos. Like all really going hand to hand at any point. Like you grab a magazine, like, fist fighting is not that lethal. In a way you can make it a lot more lethal. Grab a magazine out of your body armor and you've got, a 30-round magazine in it. Hit the fuck out of them with that. It's going to be a lot better than just soft tissue and bone.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I love it. That's pretty brutal, eh?
Yeah, bro.
And when you're faced with something like when you're faced with something like that, that's what you sort of go to, right? Like,
it's a weird one, man. It's a weird way of looking at because I've like a lot of army dudes do traditional martial arts of whatever sort, like outside of work, and then they're like, yeah, it's a really weird concept because it's not built for scoring or for this or for a knockout. It's built to kill someone. Fuck, it's just a weird mix, but yeah, there's plenty of good fucking stories that come out of boys just being fuckwits to each other.
Yeah, shit. I listened to a Jocko Willink story. You'll probably be able to pick it. And he was talking about he was talking to a guy who had this really intense battle, and he had to like smash a guy with a rock. I forgot who the SEAL was, but it was like a really intense battle. And yeah, just listening to it, man, like you feel drained just listening to what they had to go through. I think it was only like a day or two. I mean, a day or two. That's a long time of fighting, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, well,
I take my hat off.
Yeah, there's been a few stories, man, come back from the Middle East of the two that ring out big in my mind was some guy killed another like an enemy with a pistol magazine, and they found the rounds out of the magazine in the guy's head because he hit him that hard with it. The rounds are dislodged out of the magazine and gone into him. Just like the full, not
is that right?
Pacing and everything.
Oh shit!
And then there's another one where I won't say names, but his primary weapon like had a stoppage, pulled out his 9mm as his pistol as the guy was running at him, and had a fucking first round stoppage on that with it racked rearwards. And hit this guy in the head so hard with the pistol. You know, it's a few kilograms solid. Like if you hit someone with a fucking bit of steel that hard, like it's not like a movie. Like you'll kill someone in the head. Killed him, and he hit him that hard. It cleared the stoppage out of the pistol. So a lot of people call like cocking a weapon, like racking a weapon. So it sort of became known in the special forces community as the Aussie rack. You know, like racking on someone's head. Fucking brutal.
Brutal, man.
Oh, bro.
That is brutal.
Fuck. So tell me about, you wrote in your message, I've got it open here somewhere, but that you competed overseas in like a almost a parallel competition to the UFC.
Yeah, so I'm signed with One Championship, and they're Asian-based, but they're going to, I'm hoping they expand because I want them to fight in Australia. I want one to come to Australia.
Yeah.
So it started, I think it was like 2009 it started in Singapore with a guy called Chatri Sichitong. And he's built up this MMA competition from 2009 all the way up to now, and it's just blown up heaps, man. And instead of building it up on athletes, I just use an example like Conor McGregor, who's a good trash talker. They build it up on athletes and like how martial arts should be, like very respectful and honorable, and so it's gone down a different route. And they call it they call the athletes superheroes. So they want to try and make it real positive and like family friendly. And so I got signed in 2018, and around then they brought in kickboxing and Muay Thai, which was huge because it's not a mainstream sport, Muay Thai. In Thailand it is, in the stadiums and stuff, but in Australia it's not very big, man. Like a big event might get 1,500 to 2,000 people. That would be a very, very large event. But over there, they sell out stadiums, like arenas. Like, man, the biggest one I fought was in Manila, and same place where like Manny Pacquiao fought, like huge arenas. That was 20,000, and they had 1,000 fans sitting outside watching it on the big TV. So I got signed in 2018, and I've had 5 fights since then. And I got smashed in my debut against this Thai.
Yeah.
His name's Pet and he was the current WBC world champion at the time. And at the same time they signed me, they signed these 4 Thais, and they put up a picture, and I was like, fuck, I hope I don't have to fight one of these guys first up. And so happened they chucked me in the deep end. And
that's Murphy's
Law. Yeah. They sort of do that with the Westerners, like just see what you're made of. And the good thing is, like, you know, like with UFC, if you lose a few fights, maybe not that exciting, they'll kick you out. But here it's like being on the tennis circuit. They you'll win one, you lose one, it doesn't matter. They just want the best guys to fight each other. And if you put on exciting fights, then they love it, man. They'll keep you going.
And what's in that?
Sorry?
What's it like being a Westerner doing that? Like, is there any sort of rivalry, or is it just who cares?
Nah, man. Muay Thai, like outside of one anyway. Muay Thai, you could have dinner with your opponent the night before, your buddies, you smash each other, then you have a beer, man. I like that. It's a very respectful sport, you know. And I'm sure like boxing and other UFC fights, like it's like that behind closed doors, outside of it, but you don't see it. But they really want to showcase the respect.
Yeah, UFC, man, it's become, this is my opinion, I'm not fucking over it, but it's almost become a show more than a fight. Like, it's about...
It's been gone.
Yeah. You go.
Yeah, it's been gone like that for a little while. Like, when they started working with like people like Brock Lesnar and WWE, it's sort of gone down a similar route.
Yeah, it's like if you're entertaining, it doesn't really, like, of course you need to be able to fight, but your package is being entertaining and being a fighter, not, just all fighter and you just don't say shit.
Yeah, well, that's how you sell the fight. You got to be able to talk shit, and then that'll get you more money.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, so sorry, at that fight you're teamed up against those blokes you didn't want to fucking fight against.
Oh, yeah. So the first fight, the first round, he won. He like kicked the shit out of me. He has this really, really fast kick. Everyone's like, oh, it's his left kick, it's not that bad. Like, it's fast, but that's all he's got. And man, I couldn't see it coming. It was that quick. So when you block a kick, use your leg. It's called a check. So instead of blocking with your arms like this, you lift your leg up and check. And I couldn't see it coming, man. And by the second round, I tried to catch the kick. And so I go on like this, and the kicks come over my arm and hit me here. His knee hit me, and I've never been knocked out. And I'm looking at it. Next thing, I'm like looking up at the lights, and
fuck, man,
live to fight another day.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, it's not a nice feeling getting a big hit on the chin like that. Fucking all.
Yeah,
man,
it didn't hurt. At least. Yeah,
at least if you're unconscious, you don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you pull up the next day from that?
It was all right, man. Probably the sorest part was my arms, just because he hit pretty hard, and took a few on the body and arms. But like my jaw, everything else was fine, man. I could bounce back pretty quick. Yeah,
good shit, man. Fucking good to hear you're not fucking hurt. Shit. Man, I don't know how you guys do it. Like pre-fight, when you're in the rooms, like the nerves building up to walk out there, like shit, man. I don't know how you guys go through that in your head and then just go out into it.
Oh man, I could say the same thing to you as well. Like, when you're about to go on like a patrol, I couldn't imagine knowing that, like, you're gonna risk your life. Me, it's just a fight. It only lasts 9 minutes, so you got to sort of come to terms with, like, you're gonna get hurt. Just do your best. Like, bite down on your mouth guard, and it's going to be over really quickly. And like, you do get nervous. You're like, man, this guy can punch hard, this guy can kick hard, or he's really fit, he's going to push me. And but by the end of it, you're like, oh, it wasn't really that bad. And so, but it's just every time the same nerves come back. So you just got to find ways to deal with that anxiety. And the best way I find with that is just breathing, like knowing that you trained well, and just say whatever will be. It's out of, you've done everything possible. So that sort of gives me clarity that, yeah, I know I'm going to be fine at the end of it, and I know it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, man. Especially, you know, there's times like that. You're like, well, this is almost predetermined before you've stood in the ring. You know, it's like it's going to happen one way or the other. It's too late. Anyway. Fuck, man. I don't know. I still reckon that the scariest moment of my life was stepping into a fighting activity. And I've done a lot of shit, like my skydiving and like Afghan and all this shit, and nothing comes. Fuck, I was peaking, man. So it's not like this anymore. Singleton, which is a school of infantry, where you become like a shooter. Oh, yeah. Used to be pretty fucking savage. Like when it was just all males, like it was just stag, and it was just fucking brutal. It's good fun, but we did a week of the old whatever the old fucking fighting was called, military something. And the last activity was you had to do a 1K run and then do like 30 burpees, and then they put a like a bag over your head with your hands behind your back and walked you in this room. And then there was like 3 stations you needed to move through. And they give you like a rundown, like you've been fucking captured behind enemy lines somewhere. You know, you can use anything you find, blah, blah, blah. And this is fucked. They whip the bag off my head and I just get punched in the face. And I'm just like, God, fucking dog. And you go in actually in pairs, and then you like fight the first guy, and he'll have a knife, and then you go crawl into the next room, like through like under a thing, and then there'll be someone with like a gun, and then and it's probably like 10 minutes through these like different stations, and you're in no pads, but they're all in pads, and it's fucked, man. I'll never forget when they first put that bag on my head. I'm like, I don't really want to.
That's got anxiety all over it, man. I've been panicking as well.
Oh man, fuck. I know they don't do like specifically that anymore. I'm fucking glad they don't, because I remember they all made like a whole platoon sit face the wall, not allowed to talk to each other, while like one guy at a time went in, and all you'd hear is just yelling and shit. Broken noses.
Are they going 100% as well?
Yeah. Like they're in pads, but it's still like, it was fucking rough, man. Like I'll never forget being like this. There's a limit, and then there's like, this is fucked. Like,
yeah, shit.
I'm glad it was near the end of my training, man. But like nothing, like I don't think I'd have the fortitude to do that shit again.
Yeah.
Like,
man, I find that stuff really interesting, man. Yeah, I've been like the last few years, I've been listening to a bit of David Goggins, and I found a real sort of attraction to that kind of military training, and like especially like the Navy SEALs and Hell Week, and you know, fingers crossed, man. I get this big fight coming up, the title fight, and I've told both my trainers that I want to do some sort of Hell Week, like to really push me to those limits, like, and because this guy the guy I'm potentially fighting. So I've had 51 fights, and old mate has had over 400 with like 360 wins. It's like, fuck, how do you compare with that? It's with the mind. Like anyone, I feel like, with some exceptions, but anyone can beat anyone. It's just sort of who turns up on the day and who's like better prepared. And man, I think if you put yourself through that kind of hell, like, you can do anything. So I want to try to do something like that for the next one.
Have you looked at much into like the Australian Special Forces? I know there's not as much out there like publicly as the SEALs, but there's a little bit here and there.
I got a mate who's currently in there, and he come to one of my fights, and we talk about training and stuff. And Steve, he's I think you're talking to him later.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of mates in the Special Forces in there too. So
yeah, well,
I think between
that's how I got onto you.
Sorry.
From one of my mates.
Yeah.
Ex over
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I had a chat with him as well. It was like,
yeah, I didn't know how well you knew him. I messaged Steve and I'm like, "Oh, this fuckwit." It's just like that with me and this other guy.
yeah.
But yeah, man, it's really interesting. It's really interesting that you want to sort of step into that like Hell Week sort of thing. Just to see how the limit is.
It's man, those guys they're the toughest. They're the toughest guys, man. And I just I feel like if they can go through all that and go to Afghanistan and risk their lives, I can have a fight for 9 minutes or 15 minutes. Yeah, I just want to try and replicate that kind of stuff. I'm like super fascinated with it.
There are dudes who do replicate like selection courses and everything. I never want to do one outside the army because I've done enough of it fucking in.
Yeah.
It's like anyone who wants to do that, it's like anyone who's ever wanting to do that has never served because it's like, no, I've done it. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But there are companies that do it. And I think it is important for people to find where they lie, where sort of their limit is, but also finding that second wind. Like, you know, I'm a runner, man, and I'm from when I was younger, I was right into ultra running. And that was purely, man, because I wanted to find my limits. And I got into that.
It's the same.
David Goggins.
That's the same with me, man. That's the same with me. I've recently found it too, and I find it can replicate feelings that a fight brings on, you know, like before and sort of during. I mean, it just takes a little bit longer, but definitely replicates like, fuck, I want this to stop now, but you got to keep going, you know?
Yeah, that's like Goggins, man. He's like, I fucking hate running. He's like, it's fucking shit, but like, you know, it's what I do to sort of feel that pain and earn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking hectic, man. Yeah, I know the hardest one I ever did was the corporal's course, which is a pretty senior course in the army, or at least in the infantry. It's only infantry who do it. And man, that was fucked. Like it was, I think like 15 days. So it wasn't that long, but it's long enough that you're hurting day one. Like the march in, I was fucking cooked. And then we just, so the whole thing is really to see, so a corporal's like a commander, like a section commander, I guess, low-level commander.
Okay.
I want to see if you can command troops still like well, but under like your own sort of duress. So we basically went out, man, and it's like, yep, we're moving friendly troops 5 Ks back. There's enemy coming this way. You guys need to build a defensive position, and the enemy will hit you sometime in the next 2 weeks. And building a defensive position means digging trenches. And for 2 weeks, night and day, all we did was dig. Like, and that was it. Nothing hard, nothing. Like, and then you dig, and then like every 3 days, you'd step out and lead a patrol. You know, you get told, yep, this is where you need to go. Write your orders, do your navigation, do whatever, and see if you can actually effectively lead after you're not sleeping. Like you're just digging, and that's like we want to make it mundane. Like here's your entrenching tool, just dig. And man, but I've never had a second wind come on like that either. That after the first like 10 days, it was like, oh, I'm fine now. And I was like, what the fuck? Like this is weird. I thought I was dying, but so,
shit.
Yeah, that shit, man. It is good, and I almost pity people that have never really push that limit too, because they don't really know where the limit is then. They think it's back really so far away.
Living like a comfortable life, man. I couldn't think of anything worse, really. Like, just stuck. Yeah.
There's a funny one. I'm not sure. He was actually meant to be on this podcast the next couple of weeks. Andy Stumpf. He's been on Jocko's a few times. He's an ex-SEAL Canadian as well. He like wingsuits and base jumps and shit.
Yeah, he's crazy, man. I listened to his. I heard him. I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, he was. He's been on recently as well, actually, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually coming on here.
That's mad.
Yeah, at some point he is. Anyway, he's funny, man, because he served as SEALs for like 18 years. And then he's like, once I got out, he's like, I'm never getting out of bed like before 8 a.m., like ever. He's like, I only had so much in my life that I could manage, and now I've done it. I've like exhausted that mental toughness, and now it's like I'm never being cold again or being tired. I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure compared to the normal person, he's still normal, but he's so far beyond that probably. But yeah, it's funny, man. Like listening to him, like, nah, fuck that. I've done it all. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, you would get over it. Like me saying I want to do this hell week. I did the Goggins run, and man, like 24 hours into it, I was like, this is shit.
So
I hate getting up.
Was 4 miles every 4 hours. Is that correct?
Yeah. For 48 hours.
For 48 hours. Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Yeah. And like the first couple runs was okay, you know. It's only 6.5K. But in Canberra, you know, at the minute it's pretty cold. It's like over the weekend we did it. It was the top of 7. And yeah, getting up in the middle of the night was, I never had to do any training at midnight or 4 a.m. So just getting past that was tough, but really enjoyed it. Really rewarding. Did it with a few of the guys, and Steve did it as well. Yeah, we got a lot out of it.
Yeah, man, fucking oath. But shit, yeah, it's always like that though. Like once you're up out of bed and you're running, it's fine.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's just that 10 seconds, you're like, shit, I don't want to get out. As soon as you get out, man, as soon as you get out of the door, it's all good.
I forgot who it might have been. Keith Fennell, someone like that. Some special forces cat somewhere anyway. That he was saying like the hardest part of your whole day is until your feet hit the floor in the morning, and the rest of it's easy.
Yeah.
And once you've done that challenge, you can do whatever you want in the day, and it's not as shit as that.
100%.
Fuck, man. And I remember breaking things down in training to meal timings, because in training they have to give you 3 meals a day, and just being like, the mess is only open between 8:30 and 9:30. Like at some point they have to fucking stop and feed us. And it's just the way to do it, man. When you're doing those, you know, back to back to back days of training, you need to just break it down. Like it's not easy, but it's too hard to ever look at the whole thing. So if you were doing 2 weeks, say that course I was on, that SIOS it's called, you can't look at, I'm out here for 14, 15 days of digging. You have to be like, I'm going to fucking do this, and then I'm going to have a snack, and then I'm going to step out on patrol, and then I'm going to do this. And eventually it just ticks by. Make it down smaller, man.
Yeah, I heard another one is like saying, like, could you hold on to this, like, burpees, for example? Like, could you do burpees for 1 more minute? Of course you could, but you couldn't do it for 10 days of burpees, but you could just last for 1 minute, and then it just like keeps going that way. And eventually, for sooner or later, like that 2 days is going to come up, you know, and you've done it. So
yeah, man,
it is.
There's a few where
breaking it down.
There's a few I've stepped in the deep end with it and realised it was fucked. I did so I'm not sure if you said my big charity thing is tyre flips, like a big tractor tyre. It's a 2-kilometre flip, but it's as a team. I got home from a psychologist meeting the other day and was like, I really want to like because I find, and you might be the same with like running or any exercise that's sort of endurance level, you think your thought process is fucking way like more logical than normally. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I've got this thing where like once I do a psychology appointment, I then go for like a long run or something to just like really almost debrief myself on that.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I'm going to do 1,000 tire flips in a row. And man, I've fucking regretted it so hard. Like, I was just like, I've got a whiteboard. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to write down like a 1 for every 100 I do. And then I was like 30 and I'm like, I might do 3 lines, like 1 for 10. And then I was like, texting Lily, like my missus being like, hey, can you bring over some Band-Aids and some strapping tape because my hands have fallen apart. Like there's no skin. And like, how long do you have? It's taken me 2.5 hours so far. So I reckon maybe like 3 to go. And it was one of those like, fuck this. Like I've bitten off way too much here.
Yeah. And how did you feel after?
Shit house. Like it wasn't like even an achievement. Like it's like there's some things in life, and these are the funniest ones, that are like a school excursion or like a school camp where you're like on it, you're like, this is the fucking shittest thing ever. And then you finish it, you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
A lot of runs and shit, you're like, this is fucked. You get home, like, I'm so glad I did that. Like, I feel way better for it. And this was one I finished it and was still like, that was fucked. And it's like months and like, that was still fucked. Like, I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's hectic.
So what was your draw into running, firstly?
Just working with Steve, but a little bit before that, man, it all sort of goes from Goggins. I got his book on Christmas Day.
Yeah, good.
And I didn't even know how I got on. I think you just listened to the Rogan podcast, and I just listened to it on Christmas Eve. Boxing Day. I was like, fuck, I'm just going to go for a run. And I ran 40 Ks. I was just so amped up, man.
Yeah.
It was very inspirational, and it sort of come from there. But I haven't done a whole heap of long distance ones. I've done another like marathon distance, and I did an ultra that Steve ran.
Yeah.
With his missus, Mel. That's all I've done. But I just like that push, that comes from it. I'm looking to, do a couple more this year while there's no fights. Something to keeps me challenged,
Yeah, fucking oath. And are you still training lots of time if you're fighting?
Yeah. So, Kieran, my trainer and boss, he is doing a lot of online training, so we can't really hit the pads. So we just sort of like shadow boxing and lots of sort of body weight exercises. Steve is doing a couple lessons a week. Kieran's doing them every day. So just keep myself busy with that and running as well.
That's fucking wicked.
Yeah.
It's not an easy time for people with keeping up sport and shit like that. That it's just like, well, fuck. And a lot of people have lost so much motivation to even do it.
Yeah. The whole industry shut down, so we're all in the same boat. At least it's not like just me is like injured and I can't do it. Like we're all there, but it'll lift soon. We'll all sort of be back to normal, which is good. But you don't want to like put on too much weight in that time.
Yeah, I was funny, man. I put a vlog out today on YouTube talking about that a lot of people complain that I'm unfit because I don't have time, or like I can't eat well because I don't have time. And then the same people I'm seeing are putting up all this like, fuck, I'm putting on so much weight in isolation and shit. I'm like, you've never had more time, like now.
Bloody oath. Yeah.
Like I've gone in the last month, I'm almost at 30 days now from fucking Joe Rogan as well. He did that carnivore diet thing where you only eat meat for 30 days.
Yeah.
Man, that shit, I tell you, there's something in it. Like There's fucking no way I could continue doing it because I'd be the least social person in the world. But I've never felt better, man. Like,
Really?
I'm eating this like steak, bacon, and eggs. Like that is like it. Like all good, like grass-fed fucking steak and shit. I had a lot of kangaroo, but I thought it was like bullshit. But man, fuck. Like I didn't have a bad diet before it. Like I'd say I ate pretty well. And because like coming off chemo, man, I'm so fucking fussy towards shit. Like it can either like crash or go well for me, especially with like diet and exercise.
Yeah.
But like, man, I tell you, eating like not majority, like purely meat has like bumped me up energy like you wouldn't believe. It's fucked.
Really?
Yeah. Don't know.
I've been interested to try it. Both Kieran and Steve both like think I should just stick to like eating veggies on like a quite balanced diet. But we've got another mate who does all the videos for us, and he's like 100% pro carnivore diet, and he gives us all the stats and everything. And I want to get him and Steve to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Just tell each of them you're going for a Zoom meeting, but don't tell they'll be both in it.
Yeah.
Just click.
Well, for the last fight, Steve was supposed to come in the corner, and they were gonna like have a big chat about it. I was just like gonna be a fly on the wall, just listen to it all. I loved hearing it, but he couldn't come, so they missed out.
Yeah, like I know Dan Pronk, who's another one actually maybe you should look into for like Hell Week shit. He was an SAS doctor. He's a really interesting dude, man. Because he was like a GP in the army, just like a regular doctor. And it's like his brother was like a commander in the SAS. And he's like, fuck, this is cool. I'm going to go do that. So he prepared for the 21-day selection. Anyway, he got right into keto, doing like blood measurements, like way more professional than all of us would. Like, measured if he's actually in ketosis and all this shit. And it was sort of following on him. I'm like, well, you fucking spoke it up, and Joe Rogan spoke it up. I'm like, oh, well, give it a crack.
Yeah.
Maybe one day when you've got nothing coming up, you could fuck yourself or jump.
I should bloody do it now. I should do it now, man.
Well, that's why I've done it now, because I'm like, well, the problem is you're basically cooking every meal. Like you can't really meal prep. You can, but not. Yeah. Because it doesn't really freeze very well. But you're cooking every meal. And yeah, man, it's like, well, I'm never going to have time to really do it properly again unless I work from home. So I'm like, I'm gonna jump in and do it. And it's fucking good, man. The two things I've noticed, because the whole deal is you're eating zero processed foods as well. I haven't opened my cupboard or my freezer in a month. And I'm like, fuck, that's weird. Like everything's just been like from the fridge, like just fresh. That's probably half the thing. Is there's no process, there's no sugar, no carbs, like nothing.
Yeah, is it a bit more expensive?
It is, because like you have to really eat grass fed. Like quality of food has a lot, like has a fucking shit to do with diet anyway. Carnivore is pretty important to get grass fed, because a lot of, like, say you eat sheep and meat, you can get the nutrients that's lacking from your veggies, or from whatever else. Where if you're carnivore only, you need to eat decent meat to actually get the nutrients from it.
Sure.
But like, man, I'm a single dude at home. Like I live by myself, so it's pretty, like it's not too bad really. And the thing is, like at the moment, I sort of counteract. Well, I'd say eat out 3 times a week normally. Say every restaurant's closed, so like even if I eat a $10 steak every fucking night, it's probably still cheaper than me having 5 beers and a palmy.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, if you like, fuck, man, I don't know how much leeway you have on that shit. Give it a crack one day and let us know.
Yeah, I'll keep you up to date.
Because I might just be full of shit too. Is there anything else you've got down on your notes you want to fucking talk about, man? Like, I'm happy to go wherever.
Oh, my dog's in here.
That's all right.
I'll whip it. I got here sort of who got me into it,
Yeah.
how I started, and why I fight. Tell you why I fight. It's pretty. So close the door. That's a tough one. It like changes all the time. So I started like it looked really cool, you know, and all the guys on Ben. That's who I sort of first started watching was Ben Edwards, the local Canberra guy. And he had everyone sort of going up to him, girls. I was like, shit, that's what I want, man. I want to get some girls. And man, the fighter's life is like not as glamorous. Definitely not as glamorous as you see like Conor McGregor kind of life. Like 99% is not like that. It's very tough. There's a lot of sacrifice. And so I got a really good wife who supports me. And I'm really trying like to make something of myself so I can give back to her for all the sacrifice we've been doing. But I wrote down like I love the adrenaline rush. I think that's why I like that sort of military training. It's pretty tough, and the adrenaline rush, and it's really just the fight against yourself. It's the mental battle when you're training before the fight and during. You're really testing yourself and how much you got and what you're made of. So at the minute, that's why I fight. Just love that challenge and just overcoming that adversity. When someone's smashing you, like it's quite easy to give up. It would be quite easy to give up, but you always try and find a way to get past that. Same with the training, and you could easily so I'll tell you the story. My career started, I had my second fight, I fought in Sydney, and I fought on this sort of Japanese promoter show in Sydney, and my love for this one organization and set of rules called K1. Are you familiar with K1?
No, I'm not. No.
So K1 is a set of rules, but it's also a big organization in Japan.
Yep.
And after this fight, mind you, I never trained in K1 style, and they said, "Oh, you got a K1 fight." So I had I think it was 2 weeks to prepare, and I've never thrown knees. I never practiced hitting with knees up until the warm up of the fight. Don't know why, but it just so happened, and I ended up winning by knockout with knees in the fight in the second round. And I was in there to get smashed. This Japanese guy, he flew from Japan to fight a guy who only had one fight, and he had 13 or something, and I was pretty scared. But yeah, I smashed him, smoked him, which was cool. And then my love of K1 sort of started from there. So I wanted to try and get there, and it took me 10 years to get to K1. It's a big, they have them in Tokyo, a lot of fights in Tokyo, and they opened up a new weight division, mainly for 70. It was mainly for 70 kilos and sort of heavyweights, and they opened one at under 60. And so I get there, and during the warm up, only 20 minutes, half an hour before you go fight, I sort of already given up. I was saying, I actually made it here. From whatever happens now, I don't really care. I don't care if I lose. I think I can say to myself that I got here. And I got hit in the body with this knee, and it wasn't that hard, man, but I was a bit worried to keep going for some reason, and I just stopped. So I quit on the spot, and that 10 years of training was for nothing, really. I had my one opportunity to make something of myself and give it all, and just I lost. I gave up, and it was like 50 seconds in, or like a minute 10 or something into round one. So I flew all the way to Tokyo, brought my missus, brought my son to come watch, and I quit in front of him. And I didn't know why, man. It was just that mental battle that I lost. So after that, I was like, I can't do that again, man. Took a few weeks of eating shit. I put all this weight on and sort of like didn't know if I wanted to keep going, but good support, good coaches, my missus sort of all got together and sort of got me back on my feet. And then it was like a year and a half. Yeah, one opened up the Super Series, and that's when I got into that. I was like sort of rambling a bit. Yeah, why I fight, man? It's just that mental battle, just trying to overcome adversity.
No, that was really good, man. That's pretty fucking real. I guess in the way of like almost that I got there. My goal was to get here. I'm already here, so why?
Yeah.
You know, failure to readjust the goal, if that's almost makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have something else after that. Like I always say to myself, like, oh, you know, I want to win the belt, but really deep down, I was just happy to be there, and it wasn't enough to get you up when you get hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
and talking to like similarly to that, I guess, to link it to military, I guess you see a lot of guys who talk about like SAS 2 Commando selection, who are the trainers on it, who are running it, and they're like the guys that pass this, the guys who have already passed in their mind before coming here, that the goal isn't selection, the goal is to be in the SAS. The selection is not a goal; it's, you know, within the bigger goal. So once they're there getting smashed, it's not fuck. Well, my goal was to get here. I'm already here. I can put in my thing and leave. You're not in the goal, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that's exactly what I did, man. And I learned from it. I end up I fought another Japanese guy, but man, these Japs they were smashing me. Like I think I've had like 5 Japanese opponents, and I think 3 had beaten me. And the second last guy, he was there to smash me, and he beat me pretty convincingly, but he knocked me down in the first round, and I was like, fuck, I've been here before. I'm not giving up, man. I'm not giving up. And I get up and I knock him down as well. So it makes like for a really awesome round. And then like the fight was quite even in the second, and then he knocked me down again, but man, I finished the fight and sort of showed my sort of heart and like what I'd learned, like not to give up.
Yeah. And you sort of went, why you fight, and is the reason why you continue to fight for your family?
Yeah, man. Like I want to sort of give back for all the sacrifice. You know, that heaps of times I've missed out on family events, and my wife goes with the kids by herself, and I don't think it's probably not a good look. They all know that I compete and train, so they're understandable, but it takes its toll, you know, and I want to show them that it wasn't for nothing, or it wasn't in vain. So, fuck, man. I'm putting in a lot of effort especially this last sort of 6 months to a year, like training with Steve and then training with Kieran as well, this new gym I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's next? What's like once COVID's fucking done and dusted, what's next on the cards for you?
Yeah, so I'm hoping, because I'm number 1 contender in Muay Thai in 1. I'm hoping for a title shot, which would be good, against this Sam A, this Thai. And then in kickboxing, I'm ranked number 4. So I'm hoping for a title shot. That would really, that'd be really, yeah, it would be great.
And how does that come out?
Sorry.
How does the title shot come about? Like, who calls the shots on that?
They got matchmakers and a
Yeah.
sort of panel of people that, they all agree on it. They only just announced like the One Championship rankings, and man, I was quite surprised that I was ranked that high. So I was pretty happy. That's like a panel of heaps of experts and sort of one officials, and they all put it together. So yeah, it's good, man. They I guess they discuss like who's next in line. Maybe number one is not ready, or so they go to the second person in line. But at the minute, I'm trying to stay as ready as I can, just in case the call comes up.
Yeah, fucking oath, man. It's fucking pretty exciting. Very exciting. Yeah. That's fucking wicked, man. Right. Well, I think like what have we been doing? An hour. I'm trying to think of an hour and 5 or something. Fuck, that's not
nice one.
And then unless there's anything else you fucking want to go over that's burning. Because I know about fighting what's very apparent, but like
just trying to think. That's all right, man. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're happy with it, man, I'm always happy.
Yeah, beauty. Man, thanks for reaching out to me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh mate, no, pleasure's all mine, trust me. It's the podcast doesn't run without people coming on it, and it's not easy to find people, man, who are like driven and share like a similar mindset towards like getting out there and doing stuff. But it's just one of those things. But no, trust me, you're doing me a favour coming on. Is there any brands or fucking anything you want to plug? Because absolutely go.
Yeah, for sure. So Moyu, the Muay Thai gym I train at, workout, they're great, man. Real professional, heaps of athletes, heaps of good members. It's a really good tight-knit team. Century Strong, where Steve and Mel run. I've been working with them for a year, and I've definitely noticed improvements. Definitely much stronger when I sort of first started. It's a little dweeb, but now I'm getting a bit bigger slowly. If you want to follow some good fights, One Championships, great event. And yeah, man, that's it.
Wicked, bro. And what's your fucking Instagram actually? I don't know up anymore.
TimebombTonna.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So go follow you. You'll be tagged and everything anyway. Right, man. Well, I honestly can't thank you enough for spending your Wednesday night with this fucking idiot.
Likewise, man. Thank you.
Nah, man. Thanks, and I'll be following along as well, bro.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.